Do you have a hard time remembering appointments? You forget where you parked your car or people's names? I bet you think, do I have trouble remembering because I'm exhausted or busy, or is it normal aging, or maybe I got to worry? Today, the memory test that will help you tell the difference. We're going to start with Amanda. Just like you, she's curious about her memory. Ready for this test?
I'm ready.
All right, here it goes. Ready? Here's the question. Take a look at all these images up here. Everybody, we're going to put up a book, a flower, a bell, a cat, a candle, and a teacup. Put them up there.
Okay.
Right. Take a look at them and memorize them as best you can. Look for different things, where they are on the board, what they are, etc. Right? Everyone take a look. Later in the show, I'm going to show you how to remember where everything is. Right? Be careful. Now, before I get to fixing your memory, I want you to meet someone who I think is pretty cool. I thought it would be fun to have someone here whose memory is so precise and pristine, it's legendary. She's not only a beloved actress with an iconic role on Taxi, but she's also a world-class memory expert. Mary Lou Heder. Here she is.
I'm so happy to see you.
I love seeing you, Kimberly.
Oh my gosh, I can give you a hug. Oh, good.
So I would see you at events, and I knew of your memory, and I would just secretly test them, and I was so blown away. But I gotta say, there are only 100 people on the entire planet Earth who have the gift that Mary Lou has. It's called highly superior autobiographical memory. Basically, she doesn't forget anything. How does your brain work?
Okay, this is what my husband's always asking me to, which is probably why I'm on my third and final. It's like, how does that damn memory work? You know, basically, okay. So what I have found out is that most people remember 8 to 11 events within any given year, but people who have HSAM, highly superior autobiographical memory, we remember 200 plus. Ooh. I was in the 365, 366 category because there's like a whole gradient of people, and we get tested all the time. Basically, you can name any date within my lifetime. I'll tell you what day of the week it was, what I was doing on that day. And the way they discovered it, I knew it as a little child, but when they did the testing on us, they wired us, put us through an MRI, took 300 measurements of our brains, and found 9 areas 10 times larger than the normal brain. Oh. So there is something structural. But I, as one of 6 children, loved having this so much. I would exercise it constantly because people get so lazy. You know, we get so lazy with our memories. So it was definitely nature and nurture for me. And it's something that now that I'm known for it, even though I've had it my whole life, people constantly quiz me. So it's kind of fun.
Well, as a friend, would you mind if I quizzed you?
No, okay, I'm getting nervous because you're always a little nervous when people do this. And sometimes people have the wrong date, but that's okay.
All right, so I'm going to just February the 12th, 2013. Now, again, it's not a parlor game. I'm not trying to mess with you.
Of course I remember that date because that's when, okay, you're going to say it's February 13th because that's when the show aired.
Yes.
But I actually shot it on February the 12th, which was the day before, which was Tuesday. And I remember at the last second, I was at Bloomingdale's the night before as the store was closing, and I found the sort of salmon-colored jacket that I wore. So we shot it on February.
Here's the picture of you on the show that day.
Oh, see?
I can't believe that you pulled that out. That's unbelievable.
Yes. Well, but do you remember the last time we saw each other?
It was in Central Park. We were doing
No, it wasn't Central Park. It was out in like
a park.
Yeah, it was a park. It was a park. It was for that global family reunion.
Yes, that's what
Remember?
it was.
Yeah,
right.
It was on June the 6th. June the 6th of 2015, Saturday.
This is so crazy.
I know, because I think, you know, it's like, it all like lines up.
But you want to
hear something cool? Yeah. So I was talking to the guy who did the pre-interview, Tarek, who's fantastic on your team. And I said, you know, he said, how does it work? And I said, well, give me your birthday. He said, August the 29th, 1979. I said, okay. That was a Wednesday. Oh, I had a break from Taxi. I went home to Chicago for a family reunion. I was on the Tonight Show and met David Letterman for the first time the week before. I saw Tally's, and I started naming off all these things that happened that week.
I'm the opposite.
No, really?
I don't remember anything. My wife, on the other hand, like you, remembers everything I did wrong with great detail. All right, Mary Lou. I'm going to bring in neurologist like Adine Sherzai. I mean, how does this memory work? And not just for Mary Lou, but the rest of us. So, I mean, she remembers details from 40 years ago. She just regaled us with a couple, Tariq's birthday, but I can't find my keys.
It's just remarkable. But it tells you the capacity of the human brain. That's the important thing. Not everybody's going to be at that level. But we can do better. And it has 3 components. It's attention, it's short-term memory or working memory, and then long-term memory. Mm-hmm. We can improve all of them. The most important one is attention for the most of us. Well, she has all kinds of structural amazingness. But attention is critical. And we think we have good attention, but we don't. You can improve attention. Attention is what I call it the doorway to consciousness. And if you can attend better, then you can encode, which is the short-term memory, 7 items or chunk or bigger components. And then from there, it's long-term memory, which is good sleep, which is connecting, which is emotionally labeling. All these things, which none of us are trained in, we can do better in.
Attention for me is the biggest problem. You're at a cocktail party, someone mentions someone's name. I never heard it the first place, so I can't possibly remember it. When does memory typically start to decline?
Well, people think it starts declining in their 50s and 60s, but sadly it starts earlier, in your 20s. The first phase of life in your 20s is where the proliferation and growth takes place. The cellular growth, the connectivity, or what we call, this is important, we build the bank account. The bank account is what determines your long-term brain health. But in your 20s, you start declining. You actually start losing brain cells. For some faster and for the others slower, or actually for some small percentage actually getting better. What determines that decline or lack of decline is lifestyle. Yes, genetics has some effect. Lifestyle, sleep, how you eat, how you manage stress. All these factors. How you move. That's a big one.
Motion is the lotion.
And exactly. And how much you draw from the bank account will be determined later in your 50s or sooner.
And how do you tell the difference between normal forgetfulness and more serious problems like Alzheimer's?
We all forget. I mean, just recently I parked the car, I didn't know where it was. But we forget the key here. We forget a name. But when there's a combination and there's no stress or anxiety or some problem in the family, which is attention component, and you're forgetting the key and the car and a name together, that's time to kind of say, something might be wrong, let's get checked.
The thing I was always told was when you forget that you're forgetting.
Yes.
You're not even aware that you're having the problem.
Right. Also, memory's tied to adrenaline, so people will remember the highs and the lows. So the more adrenaline pumping things that you create in your life, you will be taking them in, and you will be remembering a little bit longer.
Let's go quiz the audience.
Okay.
Remember, earlier we showed you 6 images behind these boxes. I'm not going to show you the boxes. There's the boxes, but not going to show you the images. Manda is back. Are you ready, Manda? You look at the images.
Yes.
I don't know if you had attention, a short-term and long-term memory. We just were learning about that, but the attention is the most important part here. Can you tell me what box is containing the cat?
That one?
This was a cat?
Yeah, I think so.
I hope the audience thinks you're right. Let's see. Take it away. Is that the cat? Yes!
One.
Oh, I love that. Dr. Scherzer, how does this, Matt, come on, Mama, join us. How does this work? Wait, how do these little brain games make a difference?
So there are 6 neuropsychological components. It's important. We did a major study 2 years ago, and it showed that if you figure out your weakness, you can actually build in that, and that actually helps all your components. That's attention, memory, executive function, which is processing, language, and these factors, and speed. These factors matter. And how memory and all of this works is, again, when you attend to something, you encode it, and you emotionally label it. You talked about this right now.
Right.
How do you kind of connect something better is when you emotionally label it. I tell people, this is kind of weird, if you see a face, think in your head something funny about that person, or something scary, or something weird, you will remember it so much better.
Or associate it with the song, which is like an auditory thing. Because sometimes our people are more auditory than visual.
Exactly.
So give us a little test that monitors for our mental health, a domain that we should pay attention to. Mind you, do it with me.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay.
So one of the things we can do is, for example, on a daily basis, one of the things we do is watch a TV show, and then after the show we say, can you recall the characters, the names, things of that nature? That's everyday life. Another thing they can do is clock drawing, for example. You draw a clock, and when you draw a clock and say 10 minutes past 11, when you draw a clock past 10 minutes past 11, it's not just a clock. It's visuospatial, it's attention, and executive function, because in order to figure things out, it's almost like a problem-solving thing, but that really helps. And also lists of names. I have a 93-year-old that actually initially could remember 3 or 4 things. We gave them some of this emotional cueing and everything. By the time they were done in 3 months, they could remember 30 items, 30 names at one sitting.
So let me give you the simple doctor's version of this, as if you're a heart surgeon. You count back by 7s.
Correct. So counting back by 7s is a thing we use often. And people think it's just calculation. Actually, it's not, because you have to do it in your head. You have to maintain the number, then subtract it. That's actually more attention than calculation.
So if we're going down from 100, it's 93, 86, 79, 72, 65, etc.
Exactly. And that's important.
I did it right. All right,
You
coming
can
up.
operate. You can operate.